Hey, everybody. So glad that we could be together again. Sorry, last week, both Zion and I had scheduling conflicts. We kind of hit, and finally we just had to bail out and say we can't be at all these places all at the same time. So we skipped 1 week, but everything's good here. We're excited. Spring. I put on a green shirt to kind of represent that spring is sprung. I always say spring is sprung. The grass is riz. I wonder where the flowers is. And if you look outside, there's not many flowers around my house. So people are joining us right now. Good to have everybody together. It's going to be an important time. I'm trying to decide how much to tell you and how much not to tell you, how much to expose, what I'm learning, how I'm speaking to other people around the country, what my feeling is about them and their involvement, and sort of the careless. People care, but not enough to do anything. And it's like everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. If you're too young to know that phrase, that's an old phrase. But that's kind of where we are. I listened to all the people on the radio and everything, and everybody's got their opinion of, and they're just stirring the problem. Last night, Zion. Last night I caught on one of the news things about President Trump and everything was going him, and everybody that came on said the same thing. This is a travesty. This is terrible. Oh, how do we let? Not one person came on and said, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to take some of these people to court and we're going to impeach them like next week. Nobody's doing. So everybody talks about it. Anyway, hi, Jeremiah. So good to have you on. Jeremiah, we're working on your plan when you come. I've been talking to Brooke about that. So we're going to get that worked out and hopefully we can get to you real soon on that. Appreciate it. He's commenting on last week's message. And I had a lot of comments on that. In fact, last couple of weeks, I've had people around the country even comment that messages were eye-opening and they'd heard things they'd never heard before in Revelation and just thought-provoking and how they were going to use it. So, hi, Thomas. Good to see you from Galva, Kansas. You know, Thomas, I was born in Kansas. I don't know if you know that. So I have a heart for Kansas. I try to take the family to Kansas. I talk about how it's going to look, and it's flat, it's so beautiful, and the complete failure at the Flint Hills, which actually, goes down. Usually we go straight across I-70 because I spent time born in Salina, when of course Hutchison's down, Salina, Hayes, all those areas. And I'm talking to the family about how great it is and the beauty of the wheat fields, all that. They don't see any of it. And I took them to the Flint Hills and told them how great it was. Oh, it's just a different feel. You're never going to feel like this again, and now I'm talking to all of them about it. They're looking at it like, when do we get to the Flint Hills? When do we see all this great stuff? You're saying, like, you're in it. So anyway, I love Kansas, and that. Oh, I see, Thomas, you're still praying for healing. Let me read what it says here. Yeah. So Thomas still needs healing, and his right knee, ankle, stuff like that. And we want to keep praying for him. We're fortunate we're hearing some good healings kind of around us of some serious situations, and we're glad about that. Hi, Paula. Good to have our great friend Paula with us and others that are coming on. As I was just starting a few minutes ago, I'm trying to decide, is Kevin with you today? Nod your head. So I don't know. But I was trying to share how much I want to share about what I put together in the last week or two. And of course, what's happening in our government with the indictment of former president or president, our great president, Donald Trump, and others, and what's happening. Gas prices are going to go up again. I think in the next couple of months, it's fortunate we live in Missouri, but you who live in other places, especially California, you better start grabbing your penny. You're going to need every penny you can get, and different things. So all that's kind of coming back in, gas prices adjusted, time for vacation, right? Summer vacations. And so all that's going on. And I'm trying to think, after spending time in prayer and discussion, what I want to tell you today. One thing I can say, as others are coming on, is tonight I'll be teaching starting a 4-part series on revival lifestyle. I think it is, not living lifestyle. We will be streaming it for those that are in other places, but it's more than just that. We're going to hit discipleship tonight and 4 different things each week, but it's bigger than a teaching. It's not a teaching just on revival. It's not a teaching on discipleship tonight. It's a teaching on survival, of setting your heart and mind in proper place for what's coming in the world or what could come to the world in the next years. And we need to be strong and courageous, and we're not a strong and courageous nation. Although we can, Jeremiah, congratulations, Finland too. Finland joined NATO officially. They kind of were sort of, but officially. That's great for you guys. For us, it's just another border we need to protect. But it's an important border because it of where your nation borders. He's from Finland, did I say that? Where your nation borders with the Soviet, no, with Russia, and so it's important that we have this, and we're so glad that I'm glad that your country, Finland, is a part of it. And Finland is a great country, by the way, and very brave people. They're a lot more courageous than we are here in America. They have let's see, Jeremiah, you have a standing, well-prepared army, military. I think it's about 28,000 or more. I mean, ready to go people. And your nation has about 250,000 reserves. And you have a pretty good missile, some kind of missile or attack with that in your country that's pretty good. So you're not just a country we need to protect, but you're one that can help protect others too. So congratulations to Finland on that. And so we see so many things. I'm reading comments and I'm stumbling along reading what people are saying. But hi, Joseph, I see you. So yeah, I know. I wrote that word yesterday. Joseph is saying many sense that dramatic times are coming. And I wrote to somebody, I can't say their name. If I said their name, you would know who it is immediately in the country. And I used that word exactly. And I've never used it before since yesterday. Hi, Thora. I never used it before since yesterday, the word dramatic. We're going to have dramatic changes, dramatic things. And it's a good word to use because it can mean a lot of things, but you sort of get the point. It's going to help. It's going to change things. But anyway, so I'm trying to decide what I think is happening. But after I just go ahead and say, after much thought, prayer into this, I've hinted around to it, but I'm going to say today, I'm almost positive we're heading to a world war. I'm just almost positive. I don't know how soon. Although the rhetoric and in the alliances have picked up a lot. So now we have Russia and communist China making alliances as far as economic alliances. And what it is like oil. Oh yeah, is it not the yen? That's Japanese.
Chinese.
The Chinese yen, the dollar, their dollar, and our dollar is going to get kicked out. It looks like, and the China economy is going to take over for the oil in the world, which means we're again it just means a lot again where we are. Our military is decreasing we added Russia and communist China together. They have now doubled their arsenal and ours has stayed the same. They're twice as the chances of them overtaking us by that way is almost impossible for us to stand up against it the way it is now. And of course, North Korea set off more. And then we have this alliance. You know about this, Zion, this alliance between, is it Iraq and Saudi Arabia? Is it? I'm not sure. I have to look at my phone. I think it's, you guys can look. If you notice, text me on here, send me a message, tell me which country it is. It's on the news. That's really, really big because they've been enemies. And now they are making alliances. I think it's Saudi Arabia, but it's either Iran and Iraq. Isn't that terrible? You can't remember which is which. I think it's probably Iran. And so who's ever watched, look that up real quick for me. I have it on my phone, which I don't even know where my phone is. And so, but they are making alliances now that are anti-Jewish, anti-American, anti-everything that we have to do with. Now we have the other. So, Iran. Thank you, Heather. Oh, Heather got that for me. And Heather, is it with then who with? Is it Saudi Arabia? Is that correct? I had it on the tip of my tongue before we came in. I've been doing so many things. I want to make sure I get the right country. But it doesn't really matter as far as somebody and somebody, but they have been enemies. And Russia and communist China have been competitors for years, and they're forming these alliances. Because, yeah, okay, thank you, Chris. Saudi Arabia. All right. They've been enemies and now they're It's just growing and growing, and it's happening in such a deceptive way because it's either on purpose or it's just devilish evil. Is that while we're taking a former president out of and doing things historically that have never been done, charged with a former president, these other countries are making alliances to come against our country, and we are blind to it because we're watching the news on silly things that I'm talking about. Most legal people don't believe that it is worth doing this, and it's just another political ploy. Now, to you listening, it may be something really important, and you think it's something that should happen. That's fine, but you can't deny that it's a distraction if we have other countries. They're not into this mess. They look at us and think we are distracted by these things, and they are totally moving together, and we're unprepared, and we're not noticing it. So I mentioned at the beginning that so many of they call them talking heads, TV people, but they'd be radio people too, spinning over and over and over the problem, one guest after another, just redefining. I can't believe the Democrats. I can't believe our Congress. I can't believe our government. I can't believe our legal, over and over and over. But they have no solution. They're not going to do anything about it. And they don't know what to do, or it just makes money by just spinning it so that they get listeners. Maybe that's it. But anyway, since I believe that, I want to prepare people for what's coming. But as I've said before, it doesn't have to come that way. If the Church of Jesus Christ in this country rises up with our strength, power, and might, the power of the Holy Spirit, we can turn this, but we'll have to not only turn the church, but the church will then turn the nation, as the other way around. Instead of the nation has now turned the church and caused us to be worldly and humanism and all that stuff. And so we can do that, but it's not going to be an easy job, because as I try to talk to religious people in the country, most of them are blind to this too. And as I was talking to an important person yesterday, I guess everybody's important, I should say, someone who knows what's happening in our country and spiritually speaking, said the same thing I said. Where is the voice of the church right now? Where is the voice? Well, can I really hit us on this? Okay, we have some religious people, and we do have some religious people with a voice, but they are doing exactly what we don't need to do, and they're not going to listen to me. But it all it does is cause more damage, because there are religious people trying to be a big voice, but the big voice, which they have a point, but the big voice is not going to work, because what they're doing is they're slamming other people. They're slamming other people. Hi, Beth. They're slamming different cultures, different lifestyles. We can say what we want about it if we, of the whatever lifestyle or whatever movement's happening, but they're slamming them. They're rubbing and they're fighting back, and that's just going to cause more division, and it causes them to fight even more. And they are winning the fight. The gender war, the gender thing we have, the transgender and all that, they're winning the fight. But they're making a terrible, terrible mistake. And nobody's telling them that, because nobody's spiritual enough to tell them how much it's going to cost to do what they are doing. And I'm talking about homosexuality, transgender, drag queen stuff, all this stuff that's in the news today. They think they're doing it because, hi, Anne Marie. They think they're doing it because they have a right to do it, and they're pushing their way, and they want to be accepted, and they're so hurt by everybody else. In my opinion, they're making the biggest mistake of anybody when you consider, hi, Tammy, nice to see you, hear you. Be nice to see you too. But they're making such a big mistake, and most people don't see it. I talked to some others that are completely blind to this, and their own are completely blind to this. But let's go back to what we said. If it's true that we are heading towards most probable a world war, almost for sure. When, I'm not sure. It's going faster than I expected a year ago, but I've been saying it. I wrote somebody yesterday, Zion, that's also in the know, that they would know his name. And I said, this is like in the 1930s, and Churchill is saying, open your eyes, Europe, of what's happening when Hitler, and it wasn't just Hitler. People always go to Hitler. It wasn't Hitler. It was Hitler. It was Mussolini. It was Spain. I always forget his name. And also then, of course, Stalin. And all those were grabbing as dictators. And they were all ruthless people, not just one. Just because Russia was an ally of the United States does not mean they were not as ruthless as Hitler. He was. But he was on our side, so to speak. But anyway, when you see things from the Spirit, okay, and let's back up to about, I was going to mention last week about another shooting in schools, right? And now they want to do what? We hear more and more gun control, other than we still going to hear about Trump control. That's a good one, huh? We're hearing a lot about Trump control, but gun control. And I'm trying to tell people, you don't understand. It's not going to do, hi, Joseph. Hey, good. Oh, hey, really? And that's good. People are getting it. That's good for you for reminding me. Others are posting about World War III. I had no idea. I live in isolation, lots of prayer and things. I'm joking a little bit about that. But with the direction that we're going, if we're going that way, and I'm already saying it doesn't have to go that way, but it's going to, with the direction our country is going now, because there's no reason for them not to. These other countries, they want what we have. They want to be the world power. They want their money to rule the world, their oil. They're getting these things with oil and finances, and they're doing all that. And I don't blame them in that they're tired of the United States kind of telling them what to do and being the top dog of everything. And so there's no chance of them changing the world until now, because we're so distracted. Our government is so weak. The military is doing nothing while they're all increasing. So that if they're going to do it now and near future or in the future here, this part of time we're talking about would be the time to do it. And that's probably, in Taiwan, of course, we say we're going to protect them. And you just might as well know China's going to go after Taiwan sometime. We put that all together, and then now maybe you haven't thought of this. And then at the same time, what do we have? Okay, so we have, and I'm not even saying against it. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it if I were you. So we have the push for the transgender and the gay pride, transgender, woke, drag queen, all that. And no, it's so good and that, and we all need. I wouldn't do it. You know why? Because you study history, any time. In history in the 1930s of what happened in World War II and all that era, the first people they went after and killed were gypsies and homosexuals and drag queens. That's the first they killed. They didn't ask questions. They didn't put them in concentration camps for very long. And they did it. We all know what happened to the Jews. They did this to the gypsies and homosexuals, drag queens, those kind of people, those kind of lifestyles, before they even went after the Jews. Now they were setting the Jews up. They were anti-Jewish, but they went, and the first people they got were those people and killed them. Well, for me, if I was going to be a part of that, the last thing I'd want to do is go on and run for office and tell everybody that I this or I'm that, or get my name out there, or I'm a school teacher and I'm going to do this. And what? Because now you're out there. They know, the government knows you're down. And Zion, the other day I had to fill out this medical thing, online, and it asked me what gender I was, and it gave me a lot of choices. And I know they think I'm sure there's people who think this is great because it really caters, and they're seeing me and feeling good. Yeah, but once you filled out that form and put that you are a particular lifestyle, the Muslims, the Arabs, the it could be Muslim. I should have said the Arabs, Iran that we just talked about, the Middle Eastern countries, China itself, many in Korea. These are enemies. They just want to get rid of people that have that lifestyle. I'm just saying, they're not helping themselves. If I were them, if I were a part of that community, you know what I'd be doing? I would be going to the Christians. I'd be going to the school people, I'm kind of a middle class and middle American guy, preaching. I'd go and win favor. I'd ask for favor and say, look, I know you don't agree. I know you don't like, but we're not going to push. We want you to help us. We want to have favor. We want to fight. We want to join together and make our nation strong and not divided. Because if they come, they're coming for them first, that lifestyle first. If it were me, knowing what I know, I would be building alliances that strengthen our nation to protect what you believe. If you can believe it if you want to, that's this country. We want you to believe what you want, right? But if you push it too hard, then it's going to become a threat to people in our country, for one thing, but it becomes a threat to our enemies too, because they don't want it. I'm just telling you, the Muslim countries, they do not want alternate lifestyles. Okay. They don't want it. They don't even want women lifestyles, right? They don't even want women to be educated. They don't want, they're very strict, and they're increasing their strictness because they're nervous and they're afraid. And that's what dictators do and leadership do. They get afraid that they're going to lose who they are, or they're not going to be able to increase who they are. And so then they destroy anything in its way. Well, it's foolish, because in this country, you can just say whatever, people just say whatever they want, and they do, and you think the whole world is like that. But in other countries, you say some of the things that people are saying here, you find yourself dead. And so it was a setup. Okay. Am I going too far with this, Zion? How did they know they were gypsies? How did they know they were Jewish? How did they know they were gender people? They had gender people then too, you can see in World War II all over Europe, there were people dressed up, drag queen stuff, that they had all that everywhere. How did they know? Because there were records of them and their names and records, and you could go find out, and people would tell on other people to win favor with these people. That they were afraid of them too. They'd win favor, so they'd turn them in. They turned in Jews, they turned in gypsies. I don't know where to start or where to end with this, in that we should be building alliances. I'm telling you, when I preach and move forward, I'm trying to move forward with this. I'm not going out there. I'm not going to bash anybody's lifestyle, because it's going to do no good but divide us and anger us and hurt us. And so what I'm doing is I'm saying, let's stop this. We need to unify, because we all want to win if a war breaks out. And the chances are and if it's nuclear, I don't know. If it's partial, I don't know. I don't think our country could stand a nuclear war right now against those nations, because they're unifying and putting all they have together now. Like I said, Russia and China have twice the amount of missiles as us, and there's more than with other countries. So they're just numbers alone. And then our attitude. We don't have a fighting spirit. Anne-Marie, I was talking about Finland, though. Finland, Poland, other nations, you're the exception. You do have fighting spirits there, and I'm very glad that your nation, and I say Anne-Marie, got into officially NATO. But anyway, we don't. We are afraid. We're afraid of our emotions. We're afraid that, we're scaredy cats of ourselves. We're afraid of everything, and we're offended at everything, and we want everybody to cater to us because we can't handle it if they don't, right? So a war is going to change all that. If you have children, boys particularly, but okay, I'll go too far with this. This will probably be thrown off or edited or something. But imagine, yeah, okay, but imagine this. Okay, imagine this. You're 18 years old, 19 years old, war breaks out, and you don't want to go. You don't want to fight. You don't have to. Well, in our present culture, because we could have the draft. And let's say they initiate the draft. I grew up with the draft. You could be drafted. Well, if I was afraid, you know what they did back when my age didn't want to be drafted, Zion? They went to Canada and they went to Mexico to escape the draft. It wasn't escape military, it was to escape the draft. Well, if you were 18 years old and the government would pay for it and you didn't want to go be drafted, become a woman. You don't have to go to Canada. Wow. I mean, there's people that are going to do that. Sure. And I'm okay with it, though. It's your decision. But I wouldn't do it because I know the enemies that we're facing are not going to understand what you're trying to say and what they're trying to say. So I'm not saying do it or don't do it for yourself, but I mean, on your own beliefs. I just wouldn't broadcast it, right? I wouldn't have a parade. I wouldn't be telling the whole world, because everywhere in our country, do you know Chinese people are everywhere? Muslim people are everywhere. Now, oh, wait, I shouldn't say Chinese people. Okay, back up. People from China who are spies for China, who are working within, buying up property, putting anti-American people from China. Okay, that's what I should say. But it's not just them. There's people from Iran and all those other countries too. And they're here anti-American. They're doing things on purpose. And you may live near one or whatever, and now you're going to broadcast, they throw homosexuals off the roof. They just kill you on the spot in some countries. But, it's not just them. It's women too, so it's just bad. We just don't understand the viciousness of what was and the viciousness of what is. The viciousness, the cruelty. I can't even imagine in World War II, the cruelty of humanity. And I keep reading and studying it because I want to get it in me to understand it. So what's the key to this? Well, first of all, what about gun control? What about gun control? I was talking to they're sending something to a politician. I said, here's the problem. We don't need gun control. America does not need gun control. America needs self-control, right? And where do you get self-control? Self-control is a work of the Holy Spirit. Answer, how do we solve gun problem? How do we solve murder? How do we solve crime in the streets? If we could get the work of the Holy Spirit going in our country, people will stop shooting each other, and you won't have to take guns away that we might need against an enemy, or we might need protection at times, or whatever, hunters or whatever they want to do. Right now, people don't know what to do because it's out of control that we have no self-control. So the only way to try to control it is to take everything away that is not accessible. Well, the only problem with that is history, more history. Go back in 1930s again. Who had the Tommy guns? Huh? Not Mr. and Mrs. Jones who live near you, right? Not Mr. and Mrs. Jones who are the nice people, the retired couple. They didn't have any guns. And even the government didn't issue them. The government had just guns. And then the criminals, all the criminals, you could study them. I used to study them. Hi, Marilyn. They, most famous, Al Capone and Frank Nitti and all the names, that only people like me probably know. But anyway, they all had Tommy guns, and the government agents, GI, government guys, could not, government men could not stand up against them. They come out with their pistols, and Tommy guns would do it, and they kill each other with Tommy guns. You know what a Tommy gun is? It's a machine gun. And so all the criminals had them, but the police didn't even have them. So then what did they do? They had to start giving the police some firepower because criminals had them. So if you take guns away, I have two choices. You have two choices. You either give up your guns or you become a criminal and keep your guns. But criminals are going to have guns. Bad people are going to have guns. People can get guns. People can steal guns. People can, it's just, or hey, how about this? What time is it? How am I doing? Okay. Hey, how about in Jesus' day? Did you know they had people that killed people in Jesus' day in the street? You know how they did it? With a knife. There's a special name for these people, Zion, they called them, and they walked around, and then they would just kill you in the street and knife you, just like a school shooting, only they would kill the people that were anti or they didn't like or whatever. Some of them were working with Rome. A lot of them were working with Rome. So they have these people go around and they'd have knives and they go in it. But we saw it. I was in London. I was in London when wasn't it London Bridge? I think the other bridge, one of the bridges, a person just gets in a car and drives down and mowed down all the people. Without self-control, which is a fruit of the Spirit, people are going to find a way to harm people because that's the problem. They're out of control. And they'll find some way to do it. And maybe there's some, I'm not unrealistic. Maybe there are some gun laws should tighten up. Maybe there are some loose ends. Okay, but it's not the problem that's going to solve anything, see? And so it takes spiritual people to begin to speak to our nation. We need voices of spiritual people to speak to our nation and say these things. Okay, first of all, we need a spiritual voice that says we're spirit people. And the first place we need to do it is in the churches and to the pastors, massive meetings that convict the pastors and leaders, pastors and evangelists. And that's what needs to be done. And I would like to do it. I'm working on it. I'd like to do it. But convincing anybody else to do it is almost impossible because they go like, what? Hey, Pastor Steve, why are you rocking the boat? We got a beautiful church. We're millionaires. Millionaires. We're millionaire pastors. We got beautiful church. We got a big this. We got big that. You're rocking the boat. People like our message. People like our lovey-dovey, poor me, come and we'll help you get through. People like that. And here you are saying something else. You want us to be what? Disciples. Disciples, a disciplined one. You want to be a disciplined one? Who wants to do that? And so that's what we're meeting up against. But I think that I just got to find the right people. I'm hoping you're the right people. You're getting this. Wherever you live, wherever you're from, you'll take this to heart. And like I said, the more I speak, the less I will speak out against. I'm not going to be against people. I'm not going to be against lifestyles. You know why? Why would I? It doesn't do any good, right? I'm going to be for God. And if I'm for the power of God, then everybody gets to experience it and self-control and love and maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll be a different person. Maybe not. Maybe I'll have to change. Maybe they'll be exactly who they are and I'll just have to love them the way they are and see what God can do with them as though it's not maybe. But all of us need the power of the Holy Spirit. We need a revival of the power of God and the Spirit of God. And we need it because we have churches everywhere that are silent while we have politicians and other lifestyle groups. They have a right to do it, but where's our group? Where's us? So that's my sort of deal right now. I think war is going to come. Now we can stop it by a move of the Spirit because then our country will evolve and change militarily, economically. Our whole mentality will change. But fighting people right now, fighting each other is what the other people want us to do. And so if it were me and I was of any lifestyle, including Christians, I would want to say, we got to stop fighting each other. And we need to then unify and realize we can be different, but we need to unify and strengthen our country and build a government that protects us. I remember, even though I'm still talking now, I'm going to end in a second, but I remember a few years ago during the election, somebody said to me, they said, well, I can't stand that Trump guy. Can't stand him. I just don't like him. I can't stand him. And I said, who cares? You're not looking for a person you like. You need a person who will protect you and stand up for protection. So your kids, you feel safe. You feel that they're safe on the streets. They're safe in the schools. You want that person. And we're not there in that kind of mentality, but we could be there because even Christians are all in every different camp right now. They all believe all kinds of things rather than the Bible. And so, but we need a revival of the Spirit of God that will unify us and include everybody. It includes everybody. We don't care. God doesn't care at this point. Unify us. Then after the presence of God and the things of God and the mind of God and the word of God, all those things come about. You go be whatever you want to be. And if it's a sin, if you're sinning against God, if that's what we think, that's your business now. You've had an experience. You've had the opportunity. You know what you're doing. It's your choice, not mine. I don't have to tell you your lifestyle. It's none of my business. It's none of my business. If you want to be saved and rescued and helped, that's my business. But if you want to be left alone, then it's none of my business, And so the voices we have today are only dividing us. All the sides are dividing us rather than saying, we better figure this out because there are enemies that we don't see and they are not like us. And we need to prepare for it. And that's why I'm going to be teaching starting tonight on discipleship. Next week, we'll talk probably what will it be? What do I want to do? Hi, John and Brenda. I think I said hi to Brenda. Dominion, maybe. And we'll be talking about dominion, evil spirits, making sure we don't get on the bandwagon of popular evil spirits. I've been there when I first started out. I can tell you great stories. And then I can tell you stories about other demonic things that are true and that's second. Then the third, I think declaration, but I want to talk about worship and other things too. And then last is the greatest power you'll have is devotion. You'll have it in every area of your life if you're devoted to something and somebody and someone, you're going to be okay. So anyway, thank you, all you that are saying thank you. I'm pretty stirred up about it. As soon as I get done with this, I'm heading, and I assigned to help me. We're heading to the computer to again try to connect with people with things I'm saying now. But the door's pretty well closed. They don't want to hear a religious person. They don't want to hear a pastor, and they basically want to be left alone. I mean, talking about people who have the power, have lots of money, and they're comfortable. Yeah, and they don't want to. What do they care? So I'm trying to get them to care and see through it. But it's a big job. But I'm working on it, and I may not be the best person for it, but I'm at least willing to try. And you got to do what you believe and try, and let's see if it works. But I'm going to throw myself in there and do it. So every day I'm trying. And so you keep praying for me. You pray for our church. And the reason I say our church, even if you don't go to our church, and some of you don't, our church is because I want our church to be a stronghold of truth and power. So I'm praying, that if for certain people, whether they go to a church or not, that they give financially to our church. Well, why would I do that? Every church would like that, because we as a church want to be able to make these statements and not worry about money, not have to worry about finances. We can just do what we want. And so we need to we need more finances, mainly not to continue to do what we're doing, but to step out farther than what we're doing. And so I'm hoping, somebody around that's got a ton, some here, or they got retirement they're not going to use, or some people they cash in their life insurance. Did you know time they do that today? Because they start thinking like, I don't want to give this to my kids. So they cash it in and then give it to the church or whatever. And I'm not telling you what to do. It's just that's part of the problem. We need to solve that. Not part of the problem, part of the strategy to get our church forward enough in message, finances, unity, get our building together, which is looking better than ever. It's really looking pretty good. We're in a great spot right where the Paradigm Star. That's close. Paradigm Star is building, and they're going fast. And so I want to jump on that and make sure we're into that with them and our property and all that kind of stuff. So there's just lots and lots going on. But today is important, because today is where we're mapping out who we're going to be soon in the future. So to be a disciple, everything we're doing is important. It's not church. It's not church. It's not religion. It's not even Christianity. Some people think it's the lifestyle revival that is going to save your soul, save your mind, and produce you, whatever happens, into a person that can lead rather than retreat. So that's what I want for you. So I'm on the path. I hope you are too. Thanks, everybody. You can tell I'm pretty worked up about this, and thank you for letting me share about that. I haven't been able to share to anybody about how I feel about these other lifestyles. I'm not against them. I think we ought to get together and say we don't have to agree, but we better work together for our safety. Make Jews safe and Gentiles safe and other lifestyles safe. It's their business. And get the Spirit of God on us, and then we can make better decisions of who we want to be after that. But we need to keep our families and our future of America, United States of America, safe and prospering in the future. And we need everybody to work together to do it. So, okay, that's me for today. Thank you. I've enjoyed it. I went a long time. I thought I probably would. It's almost 1:00. If you got a lot out of this, you should text your friends. And are they supposed to follow or hit a thing?
Yeah, you hit the share button on Facebook and follow. Share.
Oh man, you need to do that. Where else are you going to hear this kind of stuff? And so I'm going to do better at this and continue this. Tell your friends and send it to people and everything, because this is important stuff. So anyway, thank you, everybody. And I'll see you tonight, either online or in. Don't miss it. And I'm going to open my heart every Wednesday night for a month. And I hope it's life-changing and builds up everybody that hears it. So now